this data comes from one of the studies that came out just before the pandemic in 2018. It was out of UC Berkeley by Freeman and his team, and they studied about 242 entrepreneurs. And what they found is 5 common mental health challenges. Only one mirrors the prevalence that's found in the general population, and this was before the pandemic. The others are found in higher prevalence among entrepreneurs. The first is depression. Entrepreneurs have a 2 times higher prevalence. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, about 6 times. Addiction, 3 times. Bipolar, 11 times. Bipolar swings between depression and mania, or extreme highs and extreme lows. And the one that mirrors the general population is anxiety. And again, that's prior to the pandemic. About 72% of the sample, which is a very high number, even though it's a fairly small sample of 242, 72% of that sample were directly or indirectly impacted by mental health issues. And 32% of the total sample reported having 2 disorders and 18% 3. The interesting piece about this research is that asymptomatic entrepreneurs with asymptomatic families, only 24% of the sample. The interesting piece about this is we can see that a number of the behaviors that make an entrepreneur successful, like a relentless focus, a drive to conquer obstacles, a swing, like these periods of tremendous creativity and energy, they're common with coping mechanisms and expressions of these mental health challenges. So a lot of times entrepreneurs are successful in this space because they found coping mechanisms for these things that allow them to thrive as an entrepreneur where they wouldn't thrive as an employee. Does that make sense? I know it was a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm tracking with it. Why do you believe that the anxiety is mirroring the rest of the population? Is there interesting perspective
The,
on that?
yeah, the study didn't give any um, they didn't give any explanation specifically about that. And anxiety, we know among the general population has been rising over the years, with Gen Z and millennials being among the most anxious generations. So what I would say, if we extrapolate this, so this is personal opinion, not based in research, I don't think entrepreneurs tend to be very anxious. They have this risk-taking propensity and a tolerance for ambiguity. Anxiety often comes from people when they're uncertain, when they need a plan, when they're experiencing tremendous amounts of uncertainty. So for me, all this says is, in terms of anxiety, entrepreneurs experience about the same amount as any other part of the population.
Interesting.
But the researchers did not give any further examples. So it'd be interesting to see if they do a follow-up study and what they come out with. Okay, so let's put all this together. What does this mean for an entrepreneur as they're going through these different life cycle stages? How do they recognize burnout, particularly early, right? It's like doctors always say, cancer is harder to diagnose in the early stages, but easier to treat. It's easier to diagnose in the later stages, but much harder to treat. Burnout's the same. It's harder to diagnose early, but much easier to correct. Let's see if we can't identify a few signs that entrepreneurs can watch out for. And I'm intrigued that you do have kind of a burnout assessment on your website. So we'll see how many of these line up. You can tell me after. 1, chronic fatigue or difficulty sleeping. And I'd say the first one you're going to find is difficulty sleeping. It's those, how many nights are you up at 3 a.m. worried about, where Cash is going to come from payroll because your accounts receivable timing isn't quite lining up with your AP requirements. Reduced productivity and concentration. You're busy, but you're not very productive, and you're constantly jumping from thing to thing to thing and not making progress. Cynicism or detachment from your business, where you're usually maybe more optimistic, you're starting to see yourself be negative about solutions or options, or maybe a little sensitive when people come to you, or you're just finding yourself not having that emotional connection, that passion and drive that you used to have. Headaches, digestive issues, not being able to eat, upset stomach. If you're eating Tums like they're candy and going out of style, that's probably an early warning sign. Irritability and mood swings. Are the people around you starting to walk on eggshells? Is your spouse or partner, you know, starting to give you signs that maybe you need to be a little nicer? Are you finding that you're going from periods of happiness to sadness more or less frequently than what is normal for you? Are you struggling to make decisions? And are you struggling to find solutions to problems, particularly if that was not, most entrepreneurs can solve problems like this. They're just wired that way. See a problem, fix a problem. It's an early warning sign if that's starting to get harder and harder for you. So how many of those lined up with some of the things that you look at, Jason?
Yeah, I think a lot of this it falls right in line with what people are experiencing. I think they are experiencing portions or all of this when they are seeking help for a coach or some sort of program to help them, like what the Exeter Club does. But yeah, I think this all makes sense. I think, I look at difficulty sleeping. When we're stressed out, that's what happens. I mean, that makes sense. I would think that the reduced productivity and concentration should be something that we should take note of if we're having not just one day, but if we're having repeated days of productivity's reduced, has been reduced significantly in what we're doing, and we can't concentrate, and we're dragged in many different directions. That should be something we should look at that seriously and go, you know what? I need to take a break. And for me, one of the tricks I do is that when that happens is I've got one of these desk timers, and I
Yeah.
set it to 45 minutes, and I'll allow myself to just work for 45 minutes. And then when it goes off, I set it for 15, and I get up and I leave. I have to go somewhere else in the house. Even if I just go sit in the living room and look at Instagram, like I just got to leave the office. And that seems to kind of be a reset for me. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that segment, and this is just a small taste of the exclusive training we offer inside the Exeter Club Mastermind. Every month, I bring in some of the world's top experts, just like what you watch, to do a deep dive into topics like entrepreneurship, financial literacy, taxes, investing, and more, so our members get access to the best insights and strategies available anywhere. Now, if you're serious about taking your business and your life to the next level, you should consider joining us inside the Exeter Club. Head over to theexeterclub.com to learn more about what we offer. Or if you're ready to chat with me now about how we can help you personally, click the link below to book a call with me directly. Both links are in the description below, so don't miss out on what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the inside.